The air crackled with electricity and anticipation in the massive arena of New Olympus. Sweat trickled down Captain Maya Torres's spine as she circled her opponent, a 12-foot Craxan warrior whose scales gleamed like polished obsidian under the harsh arena lights. The creature's 4 arms each wielded a different weapon, but Maya knew from experience that its tail was the real threat. The crowd's roar was deafening, 100,000 beings from across the galaxy, all here to witness what the Craxan Empire called diplomatic resolution through combat. Maya knew better. This wasn't diplomacy, it was entertainment masked as politics, a way for the Empire to demonstrate its dominance while pretending to be civilized. "Submit, human," the Craxan warrior growled, its voice a rumble that seemed to shake the arena floor. "Your species is young. There is no shame in accepting your place." Maya's enhanced reflexes, courtesy of Earth's most advanced biotechnology, allowed her to dodge the lightning-quick tail strike that followed. "Funny," she said, rolling under one of its sword swings, "I was about to suggest the same to you." The fight had already lasted 20 minutes, longer than any other match in the arena's history. Maya's combat suit, normally a pristine white with the Earth Federation insignia, was now stained with both her blood and the iridescent blue fluid that served as her opponent's. But she had been patient, studying, waiting. The Craxan warrior was tiring. Its movements, though still devastatingly fast, had lost their earlier precision. More importantly, Maya had noticed something that none of her predecessors had, a pattern in its neural network, visible through its semi-transparent skull when it moved under certain lights. She feinted left, deliberately leaving herself open on the right. The warrior took the bait, all 4 arms sweeping in to end the fight. But Maya was already moving, launching herself upward with her suit's gravity manipulators. Time seemed to slow as she twisted in the air, her monomolecular blade finding the exact spot she'd identified, a cluster of neural pathways at the base of its skull. The arena fell silent as the massive warrior collapsed, its weapons clattering against the ground. Maya landed softly beside it, checking to ensure she hadn't killed it. The Craxan was alive but unconscious, exactly as planned. "Victory!" The announcer's voice boomed through the arena. "Captain Maya Torres of Earth claims the day. The trade routes through the Carina sector remain under Earth Federation protection." The crowd erupted, but Maya barely heard them. Her attention was focused on the Imperial box, where the Craxan hierarchs sat in their crystalline thrones. Their expressions were unreadable, but she could feel their displeasure. No human had ever won in the arena before. "Champion," the lead hierarch's voice cut through the chaos, "you have earned the right to claim a prize from the Imperial vaults. Choose wisely." Maya had been briefed about this moment. The prize was meant to be symbolic, usually some ancient artifact or rare resource. But as she opened her mouth to make the traditional request for knowledge and friendship between our peoples, something stopped her. There, in the shadows behind the hierarchs, she saw a figure that made her breath catch. It was humanoid but clearly alien, its skin seeming to shift between translucent and opaque like liquid crystal. Its eyes met hers, and Maya felt a jolt of recognition despite never having seen anything like it before. "I claim the crystalline one," she heard herself say, pointing to the figure. The words had left her mouth before she could stop them. The arena erupted into chaos. The hierarchs rose from their thrones, their usual composure shattered. The figure in question stepped forward, moving with an otherworldly grace that made Maya's enhanced senses struggle to track its movement. "You don't know what you're asking for," the lead hierarch warned, actual emotion creeping into its usually monotone voice. "Perhaps not," Maya replied, standing her ground. "But it's my right to claim any prize in the Imperial vaults, is it not? Unless the Craxan Empire wishes to break its own sacred laws." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, the hierarch sat back down, its crystalline throne humming with barely contained energy. "Very well. Nexus, you belong to the human champion now." The crystalline being, Nexus, descended from the Imperial box, moving through the air as if gravity was merely a suggestion. As it landed beside Maya, she felt a strange resonance with her combat suit systems. "You have made either a very wise or a very foolish choice, Captain Torres," Nexus said, its voice like wind through crystal. "I suspect we'll both discover which it is soon enough." As Maya led her new prize toward the arena's exit, she caught fragments of whispered conversations among the alien spectators. Some spoke of prophecies, others of doom. But it was the fear in the hierarch's eyes that told her she had stumbled onto something far bigger than a simple arena victory. The Earth Federation had sent her here to win a battle. Instead, she had a feeling she'd just started a war. Back on her ship, the EFS Hyperion, Maya stood in her private quarters, watching as Nexus examined the room with an unsettling intensity. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant James Chen, stood beside her, his usual stoic expression replaced by barely concealed awe. "Central Command is going to have questions," Chen said quietly. "This isn't exactly the diplomatic victory they were hoping for." "Look at how the hierarchs reacted," Maya replied. "Whatever Nexus is, the Kraxan Empire valued it far more than any trade route." "I am not a whatever, Captain Torres," Nexus said, turning to face them. "I am the last free memory of a civilization your people would call gods. And you, through either cosmic chance or destiny, have just become part of a war that began before your species learned to make fire." Maya felt the weight of history shifting around her. She had come to New Olympus to win a battle for Earth. Now, watching the light play through Nexus's crystalline form, she realized she had stepped into something far more ancient and terrible. The price of victory, she was beginning to understand, would be higher than anyone had imagined. The Hyperion drifted through the edges of contested space, its stealth systems engaged as Maya studied the crystalline being seated across from her in the ship's secure briefing room. 3 days had passed since their departure from New Olympus, and each moment had brought new questions without answers. "You still haven't told me what you really are," Maya said, watching as patterns of light shifted beneath Nexus's translucent surface. The being had spent hours examining the ship's systems, displaying an understanding of technology that made her most skilled engineers seem like children playing with toys. "What I am is less important than what I know," Nexus replied, its voice carrying that strange harmonic quality that made the air itself seem to vibrate. "Your victory in the arena wasn't chance, Captain. You were chosen." Maya leaned forward, her enhanced eyes catching the subtle changes in Nexus's crystalline structure. "Chosen by whom?" "By those who have watched humanity's rise with great interest. My people, the Luminari, didn't vanish as the Kraxan Empire claims. We went into hiding, waiting for the right moment, and the right allies." A soft chime interrupted them as Lieutenant Chen's voice came through the comm system. "Captain, we're picking up unusual energy signatures. They match nothing in our database." Maya started to rise, but Nexus raised a hand. "They're here for me. Friends, not enemies. If you truly want to understand what's at stake, let them approach." Against every regulation and instinct, Maya found herself trusting the crystalline being. "Stand down, alert status, James. Let them come." Minutes later, the Hyperion sensors detected 3 vessels emerging from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. They were beautiful and terrible to behold, ships that seemed to be grown rather than built, their hulls flowing like liquid crystal. "The last free fleet of the Luminari," Nexus said, something like pride in its melodic voice. "What you're about to see, Captain, few outside our race have witnessed and lived to tell about." The largest of the crystalline ships extended what looked like a bridge of pure light toward the Hyperion. Maya's combat suit systems hummed in response, recognizing something in the energy signature that felt ancient and powerful. "Your arena victories weren't just tests of strength," Nexus explained as they walked toward the ship's airlock. "The Kraxan Empire has been using these battles to identify potential threats, warriors and species capable of resisting their true masters." "True masters?" Maya felt a chill despite her suit's temperature controls. The Kraxen are merely puppets, Nexus said as they stepped onto the bridge of light. Their empire serves entities that existed before your sun burned. We called them the Void Singers, beings that feed on the suffering and conflict of younger races. The arena is their farm, and the Kraxen are their shepherds. They emerged into a chamber that defied physics. The interior of the Luminari ship seemed larger than its exterior, with walls that shifted between solid and ethereal. Figures similar to Nexus moved about, their crystalline forms ranging from humanoid to utterly alien. A group of Luminari approached, their forms more elaborate and intricate than Nexus's. The human champion, one of them said, its voice creating patterns in the air itself. You were right, Nexus. She has the resonance. Maya watched as images formed in the space between them, battles from the arena, but shown from angles she hadn't known existed. She saw herself fighting, but more importantly, she saw what her enhanced senses had missed, threads of dark energy attempting to influence her movements, to guide her toward defeat. The Void Singers tried to control you, another Luminari explained. But your mind, your will, they remained your own. This is why you were chosen. This is why Nexus allowed himself to be captured, waiting for someone like you. The arena battles, Maya said slowly, pieces falling into place. They're not just entertainment or politics. They're a screening process. Nexus nodded. The Void Singers seek to identify and eliminate threats before they can grow too powerful. But in doing so, they've given us a weapon, a way to find those strong enough to resist their influence. The chamber shifted, revealing what appeared to be a map of the galaxy, but unlike any Maya had seen. Dark tendrils spread through known space, centered around what she had always known as the Kraxen Empire. We've been gathering allies, Nexus continued. Warriors like you who proved themselves immune to their control. But we needed someone who could unite them, someone whose victory would inspire others to question the arena's true purpose. And you think that's me? Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. We know it's you, the lead Luminari said. The question is, are you ready to fight a war that will make your arena battles seem like children's games? Before Maya could respond, alarms blared through both ships. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled through her comm, Captain, multiple Kraxen warships just appeared. They're jamming our jump drives. Maya turned to Nexus, seeing her own grim determination reflected in its crystalline surface. I guess we'll find out if I'm ready sooner than expected. The Luminari ship's walls became transparent, revealing a dozen Kraxen dreadnoughts emerging from hyperspace. But Maya noticed something she hadn't before, subtle wrongness in their movements, as if they were puppets being pulled by invisible strings. The Void Singers aren't used to being denied their prizes, Nexus said. Are you prepared to see what your arena opponents really look like, Captain Torres? As if in response, the lead Kraxen ship began to transform, its metal hull splitting open to reveal something that Maya's mind struggled to comprehend. The war she had stumbled into was about to show its true face, and the galaxy would never be the same. Space itself seemed to warp around the transforming Kraxen vessel, reality bending as something ancient and terrible emerged from within. Maya watched through the crystalline walls of the Luminari ship as the dreadnought's hull peeled away like dead skin, revealing a writhing mass of darkness that her enhanced eyes couldn't quite focus on. What you're seeing, Nexus said quietly, is what lies beneath the Empire's facade. The true face of our enemy. The thing that had been a Kraxen ship pulsed with negative light, its form constantly shifting between shapes that violated the laws of physics. Tendrils of void energy reached out, and where they touched the surrounding space, stars dimmed. Lieutenant Chen, Maya spoke into her comm, her voice steady despite the horror before her. Get the Hyperion out of here. That's an order. Captain, we're not leaving you. You've seen what we're dealing with now. Earth needs to know. Go. Through the transparent walls, she watched her ship engage its emergency protocols, breaking free of the jamming field through a series of rapid microjumps that she and Chen had developed for exactly this kind of situation. At least something good would come from her years of paranoid contingency planning. The luminary vessel shuddered as the void entity reached for them. But the crystalline walls flared with internal light, holding the darkness at bay. Around them, the other luminary ships moved into formation, their hulls resonating in harmony. The Void Singers feed on conflict, one of the luminary leaders explained, its form brightening as it channeled energy through the ship's systems. The arena battles were never about finding the strongest warriors, they were about identifying those whose minds could resist the hunger. Maya watched as panels in the chamber walls opened, revealing what looked like battle stations. But instead of weapons, they held crystals similar to the luminari themselves. You're not just warriors, are you? You're living weapons. We are what we needed to become to survive, Nexus replied, moving to one of the stations. The Void Singers cannot be destroyed by conventional means. They exist partly outside normal spacetime. But they can be contained, their influence limited. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing the ongoing battle. The remaining Kraxan ships were also beginning to transform, their crews presumably consumed by the void entities within them. But Maya noticed something else, patterns in their movements, a logic to their apparent chaos. They're not random, she said, studying the tactical display. These things, they're coordinating. Like they share a consciousness. Very good, Nexus nodded. This is why we chose you. Not just for your strength or resistance to their influence, but for your ability to see patterns others miss. The Void Singers are fragments of a single entity, separated eons ago by my people. The arena was their attempt to ensure no species ever grew strong enough to threaten their reunion. Maya's tactical training kicked in, years of combat experience combining with this new understanding. That's why the prizes were so important. They weren't just trophies, they were ways to study potential threats. And to remove them, another luminary added. Many of the greatest warriors who won in the arena disappeared shortly after claiming their prizes. Their species deemed too dangerous to be allowed to develop further. A massive impact rocked the ship. The void entities were pressing their attack, their darkness spreading across the stars like spilled ink. Maya felt a pressure in her mind, similar to what she'd experienced in the arena but infinitely stronger, the hunger of something vast and ancient trying to break through her mental defenses. The Kraxan Empire spans half the known galaxy, Maya said, fighting against the psychic assault. If what you're saying is true, then every world under their control is at risk, yes, Nexus confirmed. The Void Singers have been patient, spreading their influence slowly, world by world, species by species. But now they grow hungry for more than just the conflict of the arena. They want to feed on entire civilizations. Another impact, stronger this time. Through the ship's walls, Maya watched as one of the smaller luminary vessels was caught by a tendril of darkness. The crystalline ship's light flickered and died, its hull shattering into a million glittering shards. We need to retreat, the luminary leader announced. We cannot win this battle, not yet. No, Maya said, an idea forming. We need to give them what they want. She turned to Nexus. You said they share a consciousness. That means they share their hunger, their need to feed on conflict. What happens if we give them too much? Like overloading a circuit? The luminari looked at each other, their crystalline forms pulsing with rapid calculations. It's possible, Nexus said slowly. But the amount of psychic energy required. The arena, Maya interrupted. How many warriors like me have you found? How many are ready to fight? Hundreds, one of the luminari answered. Scattered across the galaxy, waiting for the signal to rise up. Then let's give them that signal. Maya stepped up to the tactical display, her mind racing with possibilities. The Void Singers want conflict. Let's give them a war they can't control. Not just here, but everywhere. Every world, every sector, all at once. She watched understanding spread through the luminari, their forms brightening with hope and determination. But Nexus touched her arm, his crystalline surface cool against her skin. "What you're suggesting," he said quietly, "it would tear the galaxy apart. Billions could die in the chaos." Maya met his gaze steadily. "And how many will die if we do nothing? How many civilizations will be consumed while we hide and wait for a perfect solution?" The ship shuddered again as another void tendril struck it. Through the walls, Maya could see more cracks in ships arriving, their hulls already beginning to split and transform. "We need to decide now," she said, looking at each of the Luminari in turn. "Are we going to keep playing their game, fighting their battles in their arena? Or are we going to show them what real conflict looks like?" The chamber fell silent except for the sounds of battle outside. Maya waited, watching as the ancient crystalline beings considered her words. Finally, Nexus stepped forward, his form glowing with intense purpose. "Send the signal," he said. "Let the real war begin." The galaxy erupted in flames. Within hours of the Luminari sending their signal, hundreds of former arena champions began their coordinated strikes against cracks in control centers. Maya watched the tactical displays as system after system exploded into rebellion, the carefully maintained order of the Empire shattering like glass. From the command center of the Luminari flagship, she coordinated with resistance cells across known space. Each leader was a warrior she recognized, fighters she had faced in the arena, opponents who had proven themselves immune to the Void Singer's influence. Now they were all part of something bigger than any arena battle. "The Void Singers are responding exactly as you predicted," Nexus said, his crystalline form pulsing with data streams from across the galaxy. "Their hunger for conflict is drawing them to every major battle simultaneously. They cannot resist feeding." Maya nodded, watching as another Kraxan fleet transformed, void entities emerging to consume the chaos of rebellion. But this time, the resistance was ready. On a dozen worlds, Luminari technology activated, containing and channeling the psychic energy of battle. "Status report from Earth Sector." Lieutenant Chen's voice came through the comm. He had rejoined them after warning Earth's leadership, bringing with him a fleet of ships equipped with modified Luminari crystals. "The Federation Council is divided, but military command understands the threat. They're mobilizing the entire fleet. Tell them to hold position," Maya ordered. "We need the Void Singers to think they still have control there. Let them focus on the outer systems first." The tactical display shifted, showing the spread of rebellion across the galaxy. Former arena champions led uprisings on countless worlds, each battle carefully orchestrated to generate maximum psychic energy while minimizing civilian casualties. The void entities couldn't resist such concentrated conflict, drawn to each hotspot like moths to flame. "We're detecting quantum fluctuations in their molecular structure," one of the Luminari scientists reported. "The overlapping fields of battle are causing instability in their food source." But what?" Maya asked, noting the concern in the crystalline being's harmonics. "They're adapting. The Void Singers are beginning to merge, combining their consciousness to better process the excess energy. If too many of them join together." A massive explosion lit up the display as an entire Kraxan battle group was consumed, transformed into a writhing mass of void energy larger than anything they'd seen before. The combined entity pulsed with dark power, its hunger reaching across space like a physical force. "They're learning," Nexus said grimly. "The smaller ones are sacrificing themselves to create something stronger. Something that can handle the overload." Maya studied the tactical situation, her enhanced mind racing through possibilities. "Then we need to change the game again. Lieutenant Chen, signal the Earth fleet. Tell them to prepare for Case Omega." "Captain," Chen's voice was cautious, "Case Omega was theoretical. We never tested it in actual combat. We're testing it now." Maya turned to the Luminari leaders. "Your ships can generate quantum fields that disrupt the Void Singer's ability to feed. What happens if we combine that with a concentrated burst of tachyon radiation? The crystalline beings consulted among themselves, their forms shifting with rapid calculations. The combination could create a cascade effect, one finally said. But the power requirements would be enormous. We would need every ship in the galaxy firing at once, Maya finished. Every warrior, every rebel, every fleet coordinating a single massive strike. She looked at the tactical display, where hundreds of battles raged across known space. We've shown them what uncontrolled conflict looks like. Now let's show them what true unity can do. The plan came together quickly. Maya's reputation from the arena carried weight with the other champions, and the Luminari's ancient wisdom helped coordinate the massive undertaking. Ships began moving into position, battles strategically repositioned to draw the void entities into a massive trap. But as they prepared, Maya noticed something troubling in the data streams. The Void Singers' adaptation wasn't just physical, they were changing their tactics, becoming more strategic. And they were moving with purpose toward a specific target. They're heading for Earth, she realized, watching the pattern emerge. They know that's where the resistance is weakest, where their influence in the government is strongest. They're going to try to break humanity's will first. We're not ready, Nexus warned. The quantum field generators need more time to charge. If they reach Earth before we can spring the trap. Maya made a decision that she knew would haunt her forever. Lieutenant Chen, transmit these coordinates to the Earth fleet. Tell them to begin evacuation of all major population centers. Evacuation? Chen's voice cracked. But there are billions. We can't save everyone, Maya said, the words tasting like ash in her mouth. But we can give them a chance. The Void Singers want Earth. Let's make sure they choke on it. The command chamber fell silent as her orders were relayed. On the tactical display, Earth's defense platforms began powering up, their cores modified with luminary crystals. The evacuation orders went out, causing panic and confusion that would draw the void entities in like blood in the water. Your people, Nexus said softly, they may never forgive you for this. Maya watched as the massive void entity changed course, sensing the fear and chaos beginning to emanate from Earth. As long as they're alive to hate me, I can live with that. The trap was set. But as Maya looked at the tactical display, watching the dark mass of combined void entities approaching her homeworld, she wondered if the price of victory might be higher than even she was willing to pay. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of every species that had ever fought in the arena. The game was changing, the board was set, and the final battle was about to begin. The combined Void Singers entity hung in space like a tear in reality, its massive form casting impossible shadows across the planet's surface. Billions of humans huddled in emergency shelters or crowded onto evacuation ships, watching as their world became the final arena in a war beyond their comprehension. From the bridge of the Luminari flagship, Maya Torres watched her homeworld being used as bait in the greatest trap ever conceived. The pain of her decision was a physical weight in her chest, but she forced herself to focus on the tactical displays, where thousands of ships waited in quantum-shifted space, invisible to normal sensors. They're feeding on the fear, Nexus reported, his crystalline form vibrating with tension. The evacuation panic is drawing them in exactly as planned. But the energy readings are off the scale. If they fully manifest here, they won't get the chance, Maya said, her voice hard. All ships, prepare for synchronized quantum shift. Weapon systems to maximum power. Across the galaxy, hundreds of former arena champions acknowledged the order. Every rebel fleet, every resistance cell, every ship equipped with luminary crystals stood ready. The trap had cost them thousands of lives to set, but it would only work once. Energy spike, one of the luminary scientists called out. The Void Singers are beginning their feeding phase. Their defenses are lowering. Maya took a deep breath. Everything hinged on perfect timing. All ships, on my mark. Remember, we only get one shot at this. The tachyon burst has to hit them the exact moment they're fully manifested and feeding. The void entity's form began to solidify as it descended toward Earth's atmosphere, drawn by the concentrated fear and chaos of billions. Its darkness spread like oil across the sky, tendrils reaching down to taste the psychic energy of humanity's panic. "They're suspicious," Nexus warned. "The combined consciousness is more intelligent than we anticipated. They sense something. Now," Maya commanded. "All ships, execute quantum shift. Fire everything." Space itself seemed to tear open as over 10,000 ships materialized simultaneously, surrounding the void entity in a perfect sphere. Each vessel was equipped with modified luminary crystals, each weapon calibrated to an exact frequency. The combined tachyon burst would hit from every angle at once, trapped within a quantum containment field generated by the luminary flagship. But the void singers weren't easily deceived. The massive entity began to shift, its form becoming less solid, trying to retreat from the physical plane. Maya watched in horror as it started to slip away. "The quantum field isn't holding," someone shouted. "We're losing containment." "Reroute all power to the field generators," Maya ordered, but she knew it wouldn't be enough. The entity was too strong, too vast. Unless... "Nexus," she turned to her crystalline ally, "you said your people were living weapons. What did you mean exactly?" Understanding dawned in Nexus's form. "We can channel energy through our crystalline structure, create resonance patterns that..." "Can you channel the energy of an entire planet?" The luminary leaders turned to her in shock. "The amount of power required would shatter us," one said. "Even if we survived, we would lose our physical forms forever." "But it would work?" Maya pressed. Nexus studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Yes. If we channel the combined fear and hope of humanity through our crystals, amplify it with the tachyon burst, it would create a frequency the void singers couldn't escape." Maya looked at the tactical display, where the void entity was growing larger, stronger, feeding on the very trap meant to destroy it. Then she looked at Earth, her home, billions of lives hanging in the balance. "Do it," she said. The luminary moved without hesitation, their crystalline forms linking together in a complex geometric pattern. Nexus took Maya's hand, his touch cold yet somehow comforting. "The resonance will be strongest if channeled through someone they've tried and failed to corrupt," he said. "Someone who has proven themselves stronger than their influence." "It has to be you, Maya." She nodded, understanding at last why she had been chosen. Not just for her tactical mind or her fighting skills, but for this moment. Everything, the arena battles, finding Nexus, leading the rebellion, had led to this. "All ships, maintain tachyon burst," she commanded. "Pour everything you have into it. Lieutenant Chen, transmit to all Earth frequencies, everyone, focus on hope. Think about what you're fighting for, what you're protecting. Don't let fear win." The void entity roared, a sound that existed more in the mind than in physical space. But underneath it, Maya felt something else, the combined will of humanity, billions of minds turning from fear to determination. The luminary began to glow, their crystalline forms vibrating in harmony as they channeled the massive psychic energy. Pain shot through Maya's body as Nexus connected her to the network, making her the focal point of more power than any human was meant to handle. Through the agony, she saw the void entity writhe, caught between the tachyon beams and the resonating energy of hope and defiance. "You wanted conflict." Maya thought at the ancient consciousness trying to devour her world. "You wanted to feed on our struggles. Then feed on this." She opened herself fully to the power flowing through her, becoming a conduit for the combined will of humanity and the ancient strength of the luminary. The void entity's form began to fracture, its darkness shot through with lines of brilliant light. The ship sensors overloaded, screens shattering as reality itself seemed to bend. Maya felt Nexus's form beginning to break apart, the other luminari following suit as they poured every bit of their existence into the resonance field. With a sound that would haunt dreams for generations, the void entity shattered. Its fragments, cut off from their shared consciousness, dissolved into nothing more than shadows, their hunger finally silenced. Maya collapsed, her enhanced body barely surviving the strain. Through blurry eyes, she saw the crystalline remains of the luminari drifting like stardust around the ship. Earth still hung in space, scarred but unbroken. "Nexus," she whispered. A faint shimmer in the air beside her was the only response. The luminari were gone, their physical forms sacrificed to save not just humanity, but every species that had ever fought in the arena. Hours later, as relief ships began the work of rebuilding, Maya stood in her quarters aboard the Hyperion. A small crystal shard, all that remained of Nexus, sat on her desk, occasionally catching the light in ways that seemed almost alive. The price of victory had been higher than anyone could have imagined. But as reports came in from across the galaxy, of freed worlds, of cracks in ships surrendering, of ancient chains finally breaking, Maya knew it had been worth it. The arena's true masters were gone. Now the real work would begin, building something new from the ashes of empire, creating a galaxy where strength meant more than just the ability to destroy. Maya picked up the crystal shard, feeling a faint warmth pulse through it. The luminari weren't truly gone, she knew. Like the lessons of the arena, they had simply transformed into something new. And somewhere out there, the next battle was waiting.